And welcome back, everybody. Local Tico Bro here again. We are continuing the Ranger no-hit critical path run. This is part 2. This is the final part, so will be the big payoff. Gear we have rusted longbow, we have golden daggers, we have both Dragon's Glaze and Revenant Wail, we have Heaven Keys. Our armor's nothing of consequence, it's mostly just fashion. We have barb nails. We only really wear one of them. I have 2 of them in our inventory, though. We have the Ranger's Ring so that we can have Reaper's Arrow, and then we have Ring of Desiccation to avoid being drenched. Skills. Dagger skills are inconsequential, but we do have 100 Kisses, Instant Reset, Dazzle Blast. We never use Dazzle Blast. We do use the others occasionally. Then we have Reaper's Arrow, Tenfold, Flurry, and Comet Shot. We rarely use Comet Shot. Kind of standard augments. The only special thing is we have Acuity for increased magic damage. That is useful against ghosts and, more importantly, living armor. So we're kicking off right where we left off, which should be taking us into Rotwood Depository. Now we can get either skeletons and ghosts or Saurian here. Sounds like Saurian, which is the easier configuration. If we had ghosts, they're not really that bad though. The way we deal with ghosts in this room is we actually kind of run past immediately and we enter the hallway that we're about to enter now, which is that hallway there. We go into this hallway and we go to the back and the ghosts will dash towards us, but then once they're in the hallway, they kind of just float away. So we get to hit them for free, more or less. Obviously we didn't have that. Ghosts are quite slow to kill, but that's okay. Here we're just going to shoot the ones we can shoot from the ground, obviously. There should only be one left, it's that one. The way we deal with him is we let him cast at us, and then after he's cast, we make some climbing motions. Then we're going to try and shoot him from up here. Nice. Sometimes you'll hit the kind of railing there, that side railing. If you do, you know, no worries, just jump off, wait for him to cast again, jump back up. It's not a big problem. Now we prepped Heaven's Keys just in case we had ghosts, but we don't have them, so we could actually swap out of those right now, but we don't really need the daggers in any regard anyway. There are 2 Saurian Sages here. We're going to just kill each of them with Reaper Arrow before aggroing anything else, because the rest of the room is going to have 2 Goblin Shamans and then 4 Skeleton Sorcerers that spawn. The Shamans don't really bother us too much because we can kill them very fast before the Skeletons even really spawn in. The Sorcerers, though, we're going to try and shoot Ingles first if we see them. That Ingle's going to get hit by that crate, so we're not worried. Usually it hits the bench instead. Order of like which spells are most dangerous for us here. Fire's the most dangerous, but obviously we can line of sight it. Ice is the second most dangerous because it's actually a frazzle, it's not a figure, so there's not going to be an area of effect indicator below us to dodge. It's actually just going to be like that gust of polar wind that we don't want. Here we should go back and see if we get the Elder Ogre to spawn before engaging this room, but it looks like I'm going to forget about that. Here I'm switching to Framae Blades because we're actually going to melee down a lot of the goblins in this room. And it's just faster than using the bow, just because of how annoying the bow can become. It's a little bit slow. And then we're just going to tenfold these guys down. They can't really hit us, so we're not too scared. As I was saying earlier about the Elder Ogre, we really should not have just run in here blind because we hadn't had the spawn earlier. What I usually do is I backtrack back to the first room because you can get the Elder Ogre to spawn back there. If it does, it won't spawn in here. We kind of went in here gambling. So, fortunately we won that round, but it was still a gamble. Here I'm just letting my stamina make sure it's all the way up because if we go through this door, there's a possibility that Garm spawn instantly. And if they do, we want to be ready for that. We don't want to get caught. So we just want to have full stamina. We really didn't need to have it be that high, but I was also probably responding to chat because we do live stream these over at twitch.tv/localticobrohe. And here I am. Speaking of Garm, this is why we have it high. Sometimes you can get like an instant kill with one Reaper arrow. We did almost every health bar there. It's got a health bar and a half left, so like it was worth to get that first shot in. Next, we're gonna climb all the way up here. They can't hit us here. If we were on like the tail end of that lion, like the back portion instead of on top of its head, we can still get hit. So we climb up here. For as long as the Garm will stand still and let us shoot them with Reaper Arrow, I will. But once they stop letting us do that, we'll start using either mundane arrows or we'll start using Tenfolds. But I like using Reaper's Arrow more because it's one, in my opinion, more fun to use, and then two, it's also less stamina for good damage. It's like comparable damage to Tenfold for less stamina. It's a little slower because Tenfold just has higher DPS typically, so long as you meet the damage threshold. But it's not that much of a loss. It's like honestly close to the same. It just depends on whether you need the damage front-loaded fast or if you need it just overall in time. Since we don't really need it fast, we can do it over time. Like, we're dealing close to the same amount anyway-ish. Less, but close. But there's really no... We're not losing anything for getting it done a little bit slower here. And we get to maintain higher stamina for doing it, so... Oh, I remember this. I forgot this happened. So the Garm is here. It's invisible. It's no longer physically here, but you can hear it, right? No idea what happened. First time I've ever encountered this bug. So, like, I'm actually properly terrified now, or was during the run, because I wasn't sure if the Garm would hit me if I jumped down or not. Because you can hear where it is. It's like over there somewhere. Scary. I don't know what to do about it, so I'm just like, I guess. Yeah, I'm scared because it sounds like when they're growling at you before they jump, right? So, I forgot this happened in our success. Don't worry, we won't leave this Garm alive. What we end up doing is we leave and we come back. And the Garm spawn again, so... It is not an issue. But... It was odd, I will say. I have never seen this happen before. Hopefully it doesn't happen again, because I don't... It's just really odd, right? Kind of cool, though, right? No complaints. So typically, this configuration is usually the Gold and Silver Knights. When you get the Gold and Silver Knights, there are 3 sirens that are roosting over there. When the Garm are spawned into the room upon entry, the sirens don't spawn in for some reason. I don't know why, they just don't. So because of that, we just have the 2 eliminators. So we'll clear them out. What's interesting is, like I said, we leave and we come back in later. And when we do that, the siren actually spawn back in, which is kind of odd. But so do the Gold and Silver Knights. So we'll have the Gold and Silver Knights and the sirens back whenever we spawn back in. Yeah, see, like, that's terrifying, right? Like, it's definitely over there, like, audibly. I don't know. I have no idea. If you have seen this before, please let me know in the comments if this is something that like is repeatable, because it's interesting. I would like to mess around with it. See if you do like maybe big AoEs, you can still hit it or something like that. Obviously, we don't really have any skills that do that as a ranger. So I would have to be completely lucky, but like with a sorcerer, I could possibly like Maelstrom or, you know, some other ability. So I would like to test it out a little bit if you have had this bug happen to you before and you know how to make it happen. Because it's a new one for me. There we go. Alright, so everything is dead. There's technically some leap worms and like a couple... yeah, just leap worms. We'll kill them later. Well, we'll kill some of them. We'll kill the ones that will pass. I don't go up on the side path just to kill the leap worms, because the critters they're just odd. I don't really care about dealing with the critters unless they're along my path. I'm not going to skip them, but I'm not going to go out of my way to kill them either, so But yeah, we leave, we go back in, just to see if we can get it to fix itself. And look, we've got the gold and silver knights, like I was talking about. So this is what the default configuration is when you have Garm as your random encounter. The alternative configuration is the one that has the 2 liches and then the hellhounds, and then down below it's hellhounds with sorcerer corrupted pawns. And in that configuration, death can spawn. There is also a circumstance where death can spawn. That was a close one, huh? But there's also a circumstance where, just like the Garm spawning into the room when we enter this room, death can be in the room instead of the sorcerers. And it's interesting. I don't really know why this room specifically does that, because I don't really notice that in other rooms. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't really see that in most of the other rooms. Occasionally there are rooms where death will be spawned in already, but he doesn't like take the place of other enemies. In this room specifically, he'll take the place of either the gold and silver knights or the 2 liches. I'm not really sure. But yes, we got the Garm to spawn again. This time we got all 3 again, so we have to do all of our work from before again. But that's okay. In fact, extra work, because we also had to kill the gold and silver knights. We're gonna have to also kill the other guys. But if I had the quest to kill 5 Garm, we would have gotten it with this one room, right? So that's that's exciting. We don't have that quest, but I want to say you get the immortal Sabatons for completing that one. It's either that one or it's the that's the quest or it's the quest for the Elder Ogres that gives us the Sabatons. But it's part of the immortal set, whichever one it is. So because these guys are moving so hype, they're so jumpy, I can't really use Reaper's Arrow. I'm just never gonna get a good hit in. So instead, I'm just gonna start. Eventually, you'll see, I'll just start shooting them and not trying to Reaper Arrow. I start tenfolding, I want to say. Yeah, here we go. And this is pretty much exclusively because I can't land the Reaper Arrows because they're moving so quickly. What's nice about Tenfold is if you shoot them in the face twice with Tenfolds, they'll be staggered. So you can get a guaranteed follow-up again during the stagger to hit the next Tenfold, so long as you aim appropriately for it. And it's not too difficult. I stay up here until it's done death roaring, because if I jump down, it's possible it hits me. Staying up there, we're safe from it. I know that we're safe from it, so we're not going to take the risk. As I was saying before, the Siren will be here. So the Siren are always spawned in the same spots. There's 3 of them. This is one of the only instances where we use Comet Shot. And we shoot the first one over there, and then we shoot the lone one over there. If we shoot the solitary one first, the other 2 will actually notice and they'll freak out. But if we shoot the far one of the 2 that are next to each other, The one that's by itself won't notice, so we can actually kill 2 of them before we're in combat, and then we only have 1 siren that could potentially do anything to us. And in this case, she never really gets close, which is how we want it. Flying enemies and ghosts are pretty much the only 2 enemies that actually scare us in this run. Everything else is pretty inconsequential because we could kill it either from range before it enters combat with us, or we can kill it from range because we can put ourselves in a position where we can't get hit. We don't use a whole lot of an evasion to deal with potential hits in this run, simply because the ranger doesn't have very good follow-ups. That scared the crap out of me in live when it happened. It doesn't hit me; it just falls from its for its spawn, but it scared the bejesus out of me. We were laughing about that one on stream. But yeah, Daimon's pretty much the only fight where we make good use of dodge rolls and iframes and evading things. There's 8 total leap worms there, if I remember correctly, so I was getting confused. But yeah, the reason we don't use a whole lot of evasion is because we don't have very good dagger abilities, and then bow abilities are too slow to operate. So if we evade and try and counter strike really quickly, it's just a very slow process. It's not a very effective process for the ranger vocation. The ranger heavily relies on bow, and that's fine. That's how I would want a vocation that's called ranger to operate. The problem with it, again, is that if we're trying to evade things and then counter, it's a struggle. So here we're prepping a Tenfold because if we have the Ghosts configuration, I want to kill the white before it floats into the ceiling. If it flows into the ceiling, it's possible it becomes invulnerable for a second. And if it does, that's just annoying because it'll just summon Ghosts, and then we have even more things to kill. It's not really a big problem, mind you, it's just annoying and tedious, so I'm not a fan. The music changed. We can tell that Death has spawned because of it. This configuration obviously is Death. It also has Gore Cyclops down below. You'll see I target the mages first. The mages can cast things other than the heal. They often will just cast the heal if you start damaging the Elder Ogres or the other pawns themselves, but they can cast other abilities. I don't want them to. I also don't want them to just use regular magic basic attacks to shoot at me, because that is also scary. As far as a no-hit run goes, it's not dangerous in a casual method, but it is, for a no-hit run, a very quick basic attack can end it in short order. And in fact, it almost could have when we did the Gutter of Misery as well. This is probably one of the consistently scary parts of the run. There's a number of bats here. Some of them are very well hidden. I don't actually have the spawn points memorized that well. I know a couple of them, but I don't know all of them. So what'll happen here is we progress slowly because I know that some are gonna come, and I only want 1 bat to show up at a time so I have a better chance of hitting it before it hits me. There was a bat there. Oh, I guess there still was. I didn't see it this time. But there's another bat that was there before that I missed. Again, I don't have these positions very memorized. They are just I look for them. There's a couple of them that I know for sure. Like that one there, I always know. I always remember. And there's one in this alcove that I can shoot. You actually have to aim lower than the bat. You have to aim the center of the bottom of the alcove, like that. But there should be 1 or 2 more bats that I don't actually know where they spawn from. But just like before, we're just going to walk really slow and be ready to swing. Because again, if we go slow, only 1 bat will come at us at a time. At that point, we got 2, but that's partially because we took too many steps forward while the bat was moving. So we stepped forward enough to the second bat. I have no idea where those ones spawn. A guide would be helpful, frankly, but I don't know. So here we have 2 Gore Cyclops that we want to kill, and we can very easily, but we definitely want to kill Death first. So I don't want to lure Death too close to where the Cyclops are, because I want to kill them myself. I don't want to be beside them. I also don't want to be having any interference here. Death is really low health, so we probably kill him here. Definitely kill him right here, which is exciting. It's always fun to kill Death, right? I think he dropped a gear for us, which is... I think he drops 2 gears for us, actually, which is pretty cool. Not that it's something we necessarily need, but it's pretty cool. Oh, was it a gear and a novelty? A novelty, yeah. We don't need a novelty. I only really do the novelty 3s to get the elite lantern, which I have 2 of. 1 for me, 1 for my pawn. Not really useful after that, for how I play the game. Here you saw I shot the 2 Vile Eyes first. I want to kill them before this guy's doing anything. I'm a little bit surprised he caught on to us. A lot of times we can kill those 2 before he catches on, but I don't know. For the other one, we will just shoot the Gore Cyclops first. We're not going to bother with the Vile Eyes beforehand, mostly because the Gore Cyclops is closer to us than the Vile Eyes. We can't actually see the Vile Eyes typically. And if we aggro the Vile Eyes, the Gore Cyclops will definitely turn and spot us. If you're good enough with your aiming, you can actually one-shot this guy if you shoot him in the eye with a Reaper's Arrow. I want to say I miss here, but we'll see. Yeah, we miss. Yeah, you can see the arrow sticking out of his arm. What a satisfying sound. Okay. So that is dead. We still have 2 Vile Eyes though, so you'll see I'll try and aggro them. But if I aggro them, I will often run back because I don't want the Vile Eye to start casting at me behind the corpse of the Gore Cyclops. That has happened before, and what ends up happening is they can cast through the Gore Cyclops, but I can't shoot through the Gore Cyclops. So if I try and kill the eye and it's casting that Ingle, and the corpse is in front of it, I end up shooting the corpse, but then its Ingle goes right through and hits me. That has actually ended a run for us one time. So you'll see I'll either be patient and wait for the thing to decompose, or I will shoot it, get the attention, and just retreat pretty far so that I know that the Vile Eye moves past it before it starts doing stuff. So next we have the Sparyard of Scant Mercy. Sparyard, for a ranger, the easiest configuration for us to deal with is double Fire Drake, because a single arrow from our Revenant Wail will knock a Fire Drake to the ground, and then we just Reaper Arrow it while it's on the ground. It's very easy. It's not even very stamina intensive to kill. It's just very quick, very efficient, very just safe method. After that, the next most dangerous configuration is probably actually, the next safest configuration is probably actually 2 Frost Drakes. 1 Frost, 1 Fire is a little bit hectic because the Fire Dragon doesn't stand still. We have to get down on the ground to silence the caster, so there's very little we get to do in terms of avoiding that much in regards to damage. The way we play this is we Torpor the dragon to give us time. We silence it to give us time. We want to Torpor the other dragon, again, to give us time to land our shots, things like that. We're not going to silence the second dragon, though. It just takes too long. We lose too much time that we can be dealing damage. That, and usually we'll get enough staggers off during this time that it's not going to get too many casts off anyway. If it does get a cast off, it's usually only 1 or 2 because it is slowed. But yeah, we just whale some Tenfolds into it. And then, now that that one's dead, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to Torpor it again, because I believe it's full speed. That's the wrong bow. Yeah, there we go. We're going to Torpor it again, because it's moving full speed. And then once it's Torpored, you know, we'll do the exact same method as last time. I'm just plinking it with regular arrows, because there's no, like, dying need for me to have it Torpored this second. It's trying to cast at me while silenced. I can save some stamina by not using Tenfold and just regular arrows. Especially since I'm not in a position where I'm getting shots to the heart off. This is the main reason why I don't like fighting these guys. It's very difficult to actually shoot the heart when it's not already staggered, because the wings like kind of cover. Even if it looks like you're gonna make it past them, the wings often cover the dragon. The heart, I mean, not the dragon itself, but the heart. So I need to be very cautious here. What makes the Frost Dragon so scary is the fact that the Frost Dragon has like this little ice aura around its mouth and its heart. And the only way we ever get an angle on its heart is if we are on the ground with it. So when it charges at us like it did a few moments ago, we get really nervous because what ends up happening is, this is me explaining what I do with the Magic Archer to one of our people in chat. They were saying that Magic Archer is awful at Double Frost. And I was like, it's okay. It's not the worst thing. Although I would say it's harder than double fire for this room, for Magic Archer specifically. But yeah, all the dragons have an aura. The issue with the this dragon versus versus fire or even lightning is that to shoot the heart, we have to be in a disadvantageous position. And it makes it much easier for the dragon just to get too close to us after like it sprints towards us. And if it does that, we just get hit by the frost aura, we take damage. It didn't even hit us, but the aura did. And it's sad times for everybody. We didn't have that happen on any of our runs as a run killer. We did have it happen a couple times after we'd already lost the run, but we were still practicing. But, you know, it's whatever. Living Armor. So, Living Armor is actually not that bad for us as a Ranger. The trick is to just be in a position where he can't reach you. The ideal situation is we're going to shoot it until its health bar is right before it's about to break, which is 2 arrows from now. And then we're going to Reaper Arrow. And what that's going to do, because he still has his armor, when we do this Reaper Arrow, it's going to do full damage. Which means we just knocked off 2.5 health bars, about, of the magic portion that we normally wouldn't be able to do. If I had shot one more arrow, we'd have to do this separately. And then we use Tenfold. The reason we use Tenfold here instead of Reaper's Arrow is because only the magic damage is dealing damage to him, right? If we send Reaper Arrow, the damage scales mostly just with the physical damage portion, the strength of the Dragon's Glaze. So you're only getting that ice damage once, and it's only like, it's not being multiplied by the Reaper's Arrow. So you end up doing like next to nothing, and it's slow. Tenfold, however, it's going to hit the guy 10 times with the magic damage, which is obviously decent, considering how much damage we did. Now, obviously, we don't want to do that 1,000,000 times, because the, oh, wow, I made the shot. I couldn't remember if I actually landed a shot or not. But yeah, obviously, we don't want to do that too many times, because it does cost a lot of stamina to Tenfold. So that's why we use the Reaper Arrow first to get it as low as possible before that point. And that's the easiest dragon ever. I don't remember if I do that Living Armor first or second. Okay. We do this one. Once again, just plink him in the head. If I was on the same plane as him, he would start blocking me. I'm in a place where he can't engage me in any way, so he kind of just won't. If I was previously in a place where he could reach me, he'd... And see, there I messed up. I wasn't paying attention, and I should have Reapered Arrow for that last shot. So now we have all 4 health bars and change to go through. Fortunately, again, we still deal decent damage, but it's just going to waste a lot more stamina than otherwise. If we had the Eliminator configuration, we would do the same thing to the living armors that we're doing now. Only we would just have to pull them from the... we would have to pull them from the door and bring them backwards to the building that... over there, like, directly ahead of us. Basically the first building from running from the Bitterblack Sanctum. The first building on the right. You just jump on the roof there, and then they'll stop pursuing you, and then you get to shoot them. And then we reposition to a different rooftop from a different angle that's closer so that we can shoot it after we break its armor. Because you want to really hit it in what I guess we would consider the head. Obviously there's no helmet or head by the time we're done with the armor, but yeah. For this guy, we just land on top of this small rooftop awning thingy. Gives us the best angle. I don't know what we're waiting here for. Probably talking to chat. And let's see if I pay attention this time and actually use Reaper's Arrow instead of botching it like last time. Obviously, botching it's not a huge loss. We're more than capable of dealing with the enemy. But still. Keep in mind, guys, we actually do have the Acuity Augment. That's 20% additional magic stat for our character. And that's a huge reason as to why we're able to deal as much damage as we do to this guy. Obviously, it's also useful if we have gotten ghosts. But even with that, ghosts don't take any damage from Dragon's Glaze. Because the Wraiths specifically don't take damage from Dragon's Glaze. Because Wraiths are weak to holy damage, they aren't weak to ice. They have enough defenses that without that additional modifier of weakness, or of their weakness rather, of using holy damage, we don't really do anything. It's just absolutely minimal. Except for the first shot, for whatever reason. I don't know why. But yeah, we just kind of avoid using the bow. The bow, if you see me fight ghosts with the bow, it's literally just to get their attention or to try and pop them so that they start over and I can hit them as they're respawning. We don't do enough damage to do it that way. It's just kind of a waste. But what I do want to do is pull one at a time. We could shoot all 3 of them. It's not the worst thing in the world. But it is less safe. And perhaps a little more nerve-wracking. So we just avoid it. This is the roof I was saying we would shoot the living armor from. After breaking the living armor, we would actually jump to the building opposite us on the other side of where the bridge area is. It's going to be to our right now, but it's just the first building on the other side of that bridge. The little land bridge that the Eliminator's on presently. So this is not the method I actually use normally. It's that building to our right of us right now is what I jump to do the magic portion of the living armors. Because after we break their armor, they kind of like prepare and ready in a stance for us. It's hard for us to hit the head, and therefore we do less damage. That's it. But yeah, typically what I actually do to fight these guys now is I will pull one, and then I'll actually jump from here. I'll jump to, instead of on the building we were on, I'll jump to the little other side of the low wall that's to our left right now. And then I'll try and Reaper Arrow them off the cliff. I jump to the other side of that wall here, to the ground over there. What it does is it lets us shoot them. They can't hit us, and we could get some Reaper's Arrows off. And often we can launch them over the bridge, and it's just a little bit faster. Obviously, we have plenty of damage, so we don't need to use gravity to kill them. Not like we do with Poisoned Undead. Poisoned Undead, gravity is just by far the fastest way to deal with them because of how much longer it takes to just shoot them normally, especially if you have aggroed them and they're not in, you're not going to get preemption bonus damage. But these guys, they don't, you know, they don't have as much health, they don't have as much defenses. We can just shoot them even in combat, and they will die. Obviously, we got the launch on that one, but we don't want to rely on it. Not in that angle. If we take the other angle and we launch it off of this bridge, yeah, sure, because it's very consistent. But that one, like, the other one we just did is not a particularly consistent knockoff, or knockdown, or knock over the edge. I overstayed my welcome, that's why he starts charging at me. I should have actually jumped over there earlier than that. That way he doesn't. And this is the route I take for the living armor. Only instead of stopping here, I would jump one more time over to the next building. So I could shoot the other living armor. I forgot that we had to do this here. So for whatever reason, if you have aggroed an eliminator and you are on like one of these higher rooftops, they will always jump to this corner here because they believe that they can climb up the scaffolding that's over here, and they just can't. I don't know why, but they just can't. But they will attempt. So you'll see he's just gonna keep jumping. And it doesn't bother us any, obviously. We can just shoot him. And we did level this character, Ranger for 190 levels, Strider for the first 10. So we don't have like a crazy high stats for offensive stats. We have insane stamina, which means if we use Gamble, it does a lot of damage. But we don't really have that insane of damage. So you'll see that we don't really, like, we don't do crazy stuff here with our damage. Another thing to note is I am not particularly good with this vocation. I know some people that main this vocation, and they are much better. I am quite sloppy when it comes to playing as a ranger. Because of that, you'll see I will employ very safe methods to deal with a lot of things. For example, we are going to start Daimon off with a Rusted Longbow because I don't feel safe fighting Daimon. Not his first form, at least. His second form, I don't care about. It's slow enough. We have time to do things. But phase 1 is dangerous. In fact, we're not even going to really use our bow a whole lot in phase 1. We're going to do a good amount with our daggers to start. We do use our bow, but like we do a good amount at the beginning with our daggers. Ideally, I don't remember if it works out so well on this run, but ideally what we're going to do is we're going to torpor him, and then we're going to let him use an ability that gives us good access to his head. And while he is slowed, we'll jump on his head, 100 kisses him, bring him down to about 3 health bars or less so that he's guaranteed to do Soul Vortex next, get to a safe spot, and then shoot him down while he's doing the Soul Vortex and the defensive curl. And then usually by the time that's done, he's close to dead, if not already. So this is a good combo for us because after the kick, his head's fairly low, we can jump up, and we can start hitting him. Unfortunately, oh, I remember this run now. But unfortunately, he starts with Immolation. If I was trying really to get the most out of our setup here, I would actually replace the Reaper arrow, or sorry, the Reaper's ring with a barbed nail. That way I'd have double barbed nails for higher stagger when I use the daggers. If I had set up that, I probably could have gotten a stagger off before he finished casting Immolate, and we wouldn't have had a problem. Obviously, that's not what happens. There, I didn't know if I would stagger him, so I automatically hopped off, just for safety. Instant reset is super valuable for moments like that. All right, he's below 3 health bars, so I know next thing he's going to do is Soul Vortex. For whatever reason, Levin is no longer tracking me. I'm not upset about that, but it's kind of awkward. Had I known it wasn't going to track me, I would have used a Reaper's Arrow while he was walking there, but, you know, not much we can do about it now. Here, I'm just trying to get as much damage in on him as possible before the Soul Vortex is finally channeled. I believe I cancel this Reaper's Arrow. Yes, okay. I would say we want to have him torpored here. Not because we want to torpor the Soul Vortex itself. I don't really care about the Soul Vortex. What I want him to be torpored for is the defensive curl that he's going to do afterwards. It's just going to give us slightly more time to put some Reaper's Arrows into him. I also don't care whether or not we stagger him out of this ability, because it poses no threat to us. In fact, the longer he stays in that ability, the happier I am, because it's just freedom to hit him however I want. Typically, I would actually not even try climbing him here. I'm a little bit surprised I do. I'm sure I get off because I don't know how much time I have for his, when he gets out of the defensive curl and he spreads his wings and arms and he yells, that move. I have no idea how much time I have for that. And I'm a little bit surprised I even pretended like I was going to be valuable climbing him that way. But I think part of my thinking there was the fact that I was behind him and I wanted to shoot him in the head, but I had to run past his head to do it. So I might as well hit him with my daggers because they actually do pretty good damage. But, you know, whatever. Once again, climb on his head. And that's phase 1. That's actually a really sloppy phase 1. Usually you can just do it extremely quickly because you'll get on his head and be able to just wail at the very beginning. But, you know, the first time we climbed up, he immediately casted an Immolate, which means we have to get off. And then we got off early again because he winded up an attack and we didn't stagger him early enough. And he, you know, I instant reset like on our last hit that did stagger him, which is a little bit unfortunate, but you know, we kind of played ourselves. He also played us, so it's whatever. I'll take it as a W regardless. We had a couple really clean ones. I don't play this vocation. I'm not good at climbing either, so I'm content. Ingle always has a gap. It's very easy to dodge Ingle if you have the space. The grand Ingle that he casts, I mean. There's always a space. Just go left or right. Pick one. You don't even have to dodge roll. In fact, I wouldn't advise it because dodge roll moves you kind of a fixed distance, and a lot of times you'll get hit by another Ingle. Well, another fireball of the Ingle at least. Whereas if you just sidestep and walk a little bit, you usually have enough space to just stop in the middle. So for this run, or for phase 2, we just kind of put Reaper's arrows into him. I know I could tenfold. It's good. It's just a lot of stamina. I don't, obviously, as I've said a million times on this run, I don't really enjoy using tenfold. It's a lot of stamina. I don't think it's very engaging or fun to play with. Unless there's like a lot of small things suddenly happening and you need to be like, oh, I need to burst things down really quick. But that's not the case here. We do have time to use Reaper Arrow. This guy's like trolling by going really far back. That's both good and bad. When he goes really far like that, he often won't do anything to you because he's trying to get into a position and then he's like, oh crap, I need to get closer now. And so he'll start drifting closer to you. So it's kind of like a silly thing, but it's also not good for us because as a ranger, we do operate at a slightly longer range than like Strider or Assassin does with their bows. But it's not that great. It's only a little bit further, so we actually are leaving a lot of damage on the table by being too far. Here, we're probably actually a little bit too close. That was a little bit close. The camera like kind of played with us. We almost got hit by the stamina drain on that ability. Fortunately, we didn't because we do count that as a hit. I was waiting a little bit because I wanted my stamina to go up. Unfortunately, he just barely moved out of the way at the last second, so that's unfortunate, but you know, we'll take it. And as I said before, this is pretty much the only fight in the game that we will evade with. That jump there was because if you are on the ground when Seism's cast finishes, you get the jelly legs, you get staggered. If that happens to us, I count that as a hit. So the only way I can avoid that is either by having an iframe ability or jumping. Jumping as this is way easier than perfectly timing the iframe because the iframes are just when I hit the roll, pretty much, the dodge button. Whereas jumping, it's the entire time I'm in the air. So I get like a full 1.5 seconds maybe of airtime as a yellow vocation. As a blue vocation, you also get a lot of airtime. So it's just kind of worth it to use that as your method instead of trying to evade it with a dodge. It becomes harder on a red vocation to jump it, but you can also iframe it, like I said. You could use a full moon slash or something like that, Exodus, you know, whatever. It's just, again, it's much trickier. Yep, see, we're in the air, we don't get staggered. Very good. I will say that trick does not work, however, if you're using something like Caged Fury or Force Hatchet. Obviously, you can't really double jump with Force Hatchet, but or I guess Caged Fury, which you can levitate, which gives us the same value, the same opportunity. But if you are in the air during the Seism, it'll actually still stagger your, it'll still count as hitting you for stamina purposes with the ability. It'll take away your buff, and then it'll also remove all of your stamina, because if you get hit while using either of those weapons, you lose all of your stamina. You would suggest then, well, why do you count it then? The reason I don't count it as a hit is because there's no other means by which I can avoid it. Because it would happen regardless, whichever method I chose. So we just choose the one that's most effective. There we have it. That's actually a pretty decent phase 2. Phase 1 was really sloppy. Phase 2 was okay. We could have gotten it better if we had better positioning for his defensive curl, and we got the shot off on the head before that. Because sometimes if you get really good damage at the very beginning of phase 2, you can actually get him out of phase 2 where he only has like 2 health bars remaining, and then it only takes like 3 arrows. It's not bad at all. But that's the run. I hope you guys enjoyed. I honestly struggled a lot with Ranger. I am not a very good Ranger, as I've said before. But this was a lot of fun. If you guys would like to see these runs live, I stream every weekday over at twitch.tv/localticobrohe. We have a lot of fun. Right now, we have finished the critical path here as a Ranger, and we are working on the long full run where we add the Ward of Regret, Midnight Helix, and Pilgrim's Gauntlet. Those are pretty dangerous rooms, actually, but we're having a good time. We're close, but I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching again. Cheers, everybody.